This woman's great-grandmother was absolutely convinced that when she was a little girl in Poland, she came face to face with a vampire. So after I posted that story about Adam, the werewolf bodyguard, something weird really started happening where I started getting more and more people that were reaching out to me, and not just random comments, but like long, detailed messages of people DMing me claiming that their families had encounters with beings or things that don't exactly fit into our normal understanding of reality. Now, most of them were easy to brush off, and I'm not going to tell nearly 80% of them. However, except this one, this email came from a woman who said that her great-grandmother had carried a secret her entire life and only shared it with the family just a few short years before she had passed away. Now, her great-grandmother grew up in Poland, just outside of Warsaw, and it was right after World War II, she said. And now, at that time, that area was extremely poor. It was in the rebuilding phase, food was scarce, buildings were still damaged, and people mostly kept to themselves, especially at night. Now, when her great-grandmother was 13, she used to take these short walks near her home, and there was this narrow dirt path that would cut through a patch of trees, and wasn't really anything special, but it just was somewhere quiet and somewhere private for her to be alone with her thoughts. Now, one night, as she was walking, she heard this faint scratching sound, and at first she just ignored it, but then she hears it again and again, so she steps off the path and pushes through some brush, and that's when she finds it. And there's this bat just lying on the ground, barely moving, and one of its wings was actually twisted, like it had been broken, and it was, breathing in these like shallow breaths, uneven, and like it wasn't really going to last much longer. Now, most people would have just left it and been on their merry way, but for whatever reason, her great-grandmother didn't, and she carefully picked it up, brought it somewhere hidden near the path, and over the next 2 weeks, every single night, she came back. She'd bring it scraps of food and water, and she'd just sit with it, and slowly the bat started getting better and better, and it began moving more, and its breathing steadied, and eventually it even tried to climb onto her hand one night. But then, on the 14th night, she comes back, and sadly, it was gone. There was no blood, no feathers, no sign of a struggle, and it just was gone. Now, yes, she was confused, but maybe a little disappointed at the same time, but she assumed that it finally recovered and it flew away. And she knew that that day was coming, so she turns and she starts heading back toward the path. And that's when she sees him. He was about 100 meters away from her. And he was very tall, absolutely did not belong. And he was extremely well dressed, like noticeably well dressed, especially for that area and that time. He had a very clean coat, polished shoes, and everything about him felt extremely out of place. She said he looked like he was maybe in his 40s or 50s, but there was something about him, something in the way that he carried himself that made him seem and feel much older. And he had this calm, almost unnatural presence, is how she described him. So she stops, and before she can even say anything, he just walks towards her, slowly, and he kneels down so that he's at her eye level, and in perfect Polish, he simply just says, "Thank you." That's it. No explanation, no introduction, just "thank you." And then he reaches into his coat, and he pulls out these 2 gold coins, and he places them in her hand. Now she looks down at them, and she immediately realizes that she's never seen anything like them before, and they were heavier than normal coins at that time, and the markings didn't match any type of currency that she recognized, and they looked definitely old, like really, really old. So she looks back at him, and she just says, like, "What are these?" And he simply just smiles very faintly, and he says, "They're from another place and another time." And then he gently pats her on the shoulder, stands up, and begins walking away, back down the path. So she looks back down at the coins for just a second, and when she looks up again, he's gone. And, not like walking away, not, ducked off into the trees, just absolutely gone, like vanished. Like he was never there at all. So for years, she tried to rationalize it, right? Maybe he was just a traveler. Maybe the coins were some kind of foreign money that she didn't know. Maybe the bat had nothing to do with him. But deep down, she never really believed that because the timing didn't make sense. And, the bat disappears and then suddenly this man appears thanking her for something she doesn't understand exactly where the bat was. And not to mention, in a village like that, everyone knows each other. And then giving her, something that shouldn't even exist. I don't know. The part that really stayed with her, she said, for the rest of her life wasn't the coins or even the man himself. It was the thank you, because she never told anyone about that bat, not even her own family. So what exactly was he thanking for? I mean, you don't know. Her great-grandmother, the woman who had emailed me, said that those coins were kept in her family for decades, and they were hidden, they were never spent, and they were kept in a little, keepsake box on her great-grandmother's nightstand. Because her great-grandmother was absolutely convinced until the very day that she passed that she hadn't, been taking care of a bat at all. She truly believes that she had been nursing something else, and something that was just pretending to be one. And when it no longer needed her, it came back to say thank you. So let me know what you think in the comments, because her grandmother truly believed that she was taking care of a vampire.